Hey guys, this is Crypto Gaming. Thanks for tuning back to another episode, and today we are reacting to some more Llama Arts scary short horror films, and we are reacting to Trick or Treat one. So let's get into it. Subscribe, comment down below if you like these videos.
It was Halloween night of 2007, freshman year in high
I was
school,
7 back
and I
then.
was with my friends, Ivan, Ryan, and Jesse. We were all dressed as the Super Mario characters. I was Luigi since I was the second tallest. Ivan was Mario since he's short and buff. Not that Mario was buff. Jesse was Waluigi because he's freakishly tall and skinny, and Ryan was Wario because he's just really fat. So they were the perfect group costumes for us. We live in a very non-congested suburban neighborhood with a decent amount of space in between houses. On Halloween, that's the worst thing ever. Less bang for your buck. We were trick-or-treating for hours, way past dark, and eventually came the time when most trick-or-treaters were heading home. My feet started to hurt, and I had to constantly switch arms for holding the now 10-pound pillow sack of candy, but we planned on going until our bags were completely full. A lot of the houses by now weren't answering anymore. It was probably past their cutoff time for giving candy to trick-or-treaters. Approaching our next house, we saw a purple bucket on the stoop, which was the best feeling ever. I was the one to get close enough to
Yo, there
realize it
was
was
a
empty,
face next to
which
the
was the worst
window.
feeling ever. I turned around when I heard a
What
knock
the
at the
heck?
window of the house. We all looked at the window. Couldn't see anyone, but heard someone call out, "Wait." The door opened, and an older man, late 40s,
Yo,
already
that dude
balding,
looks
stepped outside.
creepy.
He told us to come inside so he can get us some more candy.
No, don't come
I
inside.
said we could just wait out here. He responded saying something along the lines of, "Nonsense, come on in, we'll get you your candy."
Yo, there's
Ivan stepped
the
in and
old
said,
guy, and then
"It's all
behind
right.
him there's like
Come on, Dan, let's
eyes,
go."
like white eyes with
I
red
told the guy to take
eyeballs.
care and apologized. He just stood there watching as we walked off, not saying anything.
They look like
I
it looked
felt
like the
bad, but
eyes
at
were
the
like
same time, that
squinting.
guy
Like what
seemed
the
like a
frick?
creeper, and I figured I just
I don't know
dodged a
this black
bullet
guy.
not going in there.
He's a creeper.
If the story ended there, it wouldn't be scary, so of course it didn't end there. We skipped a few of the guy's neighboring houses just to get further away and continued on with our business. We were walking down close to the nature preserve
Yo,
now,
there's
so
something
there
on
weren't
the
many houses around us. At
tree.
this point, we were now walking back closer to Jesse's house. I noticed Ryan had stopped walking, and I turned around to see what's up. He said he heard someone moving from behind the trees in the preserve. Now, this was before everyone's phones had flashlights, so we couldn't just go searching in the woods for someone. Besides, we were just telling Ryan that it must have been a raccoon or something. You may think this is a bit of a cliche, but when things like this happen in real life, you always assume the more logical possibility. It's just natural. Why would we assume we were being followed? I had to put my arm around Ryan's shoulder and nudge him forward. A little ways down the street, me and Ivan picked up on the sound as well. When we all stopped, the sounds of the footsteps from beyond the trees stopped as well. Ivan yelled at the obvious stalker to go away, or we would beat the shit out of them.
Dang.
I knew he was just bluffing, though. I could hear the nervousness in his voice. The snap of a twig from beyond the trees triggered a fight-or-flight response in all of us. Me, Jesse, and Ryan all ran for it. Ivan was at first charging to attack, but he quickly followed after realizing we had all taken off. We ran down the dark street, and we all noticed the sounds of at least 2 or 3 pairs of footsteps crushing the twigs and leaves in the woods.
The heck?
We banked it hard right down Jesse Street when it finally came up and ran straight for his backyard, entering his house through the back door. The first thing we did was peek out through his living room window. We couldn't see anyone.
At
We
least
all
they
had
made
to
it to
gather our
house.
thoughts and discuss what the hell just went down in his living room, when all of a sudden we heard Jesse's backyard gate slam shut. Jesse dove to turn off the lights. There was a click and a bang from down in the den. It was more than likely Jesse's back door. We all agreed to go down armed with knives and face them. Jesse turned on his back door light, but there was nobody out there. Just then the front door opened, and we all screamed like animals. Jesse's mom and sisters came rushing downstairs. They had just gotten home from their friend's little house party. We all rested assured knowing it was just them.
Dang, his mom was
Jesse
hot.
explained what
Or
happened, but
animated
made it
person.
seem a lot less dramatic. Me and Ivan went home after that and called it a night. At 12:30 a.m., I got a disturbing text message. It was from Jesse. It said, "It wasn't my mom." I texted back saying, "What?" He responded back quickly, saying, "It wasn't my mom in the backyard." My fingers slammed the buttons on my phone, responding back, "What do you mean?" There was a long pause before he finally told me that his mom and sisters said they never went in the backyard. I
Uh-oh.
told him to immediately check the backyard from his upper deck. He had already done just that. He also told his mom everything, and she had already called the police. They didn't find anyone back there, but Jesse did mention the guy who invited us in while trick-or-treating. Nothing ever became of that, and nothing ever
Yo,
happened at
what the
Jesse's
heck?
house again after that one Halloween night.
Yo, that was creepy. There was like people in these creepy costumes, and then they got squished by a freaking, um, they got squished by a fucking pumpkin. Excuse me for my language. We are reacting to fishing horror stories. So
There
Felipe
used to be a
Perez, if you're
pond about
watching
half a
this, shout
mile
out
away
to
from
you
my old
because you
house
know
that I would
fishing's
commonly go
your life
fishing in. It was
and you love
nicknamed
it.
Daryl's Pond. I still have no idea who Daryl was or why it was called that, but nobody owned it, so people would once in a blue moon go fishing there as well. It was usually me by myself, though. I had dug a pole into the ground where I would tie a noose to and from my small kayak. I'd say it was about 3 in the afternoon when I rowed out to the middle of the pond, the sweet spot for getting a decent catch. There was another person coming out from the trees. I waved at him and gave him a smile. He hopped into a small boat floating by the edge of the pond and began to row over to me. As he got close enough where trying to speak to him wouldn't come off as obnoxious, I gave him a friendly, "Perfect day, isn't it?" "Yes, absolutely," he said. He didn't say anything after that, and I started to feel a bit awkward, as if I were obligated to keep some kind of conversation rolling now. "So, you come out here to throw some lines?" I asked. "No, I don't actually fish." "Oh, well, it's never a bad day to relax on the pond," I said. He continued to row closer to me until his boat collided with mine, creating a big thud. I was genuinely uncomfortable now. I didn't feel threatened, just weirded out. I was only 24 years old.
What the heck?
This guy looked like he was late 40s or 50s.
That dude
There
does
was
look
an
scary.
awkward silence. I tried to just act like I was focused on trying to make a catch, but by now that wasn't even on my mind. This guy was weird. I didn't know what he wanted, and I was uncomfortable being so close to him. I felt him looking at me, or at least in my direction, as I faced halfway to the opposite direction of him. I took a quick glance to my right. Yeah, he was staring at me. I
Yo,
decided to
he's
be
freaking
ballsy and lock eye
creepy.
contact with him. After about 4 seconds, he looked away. "So, where are you from?" I asked him. "Up there." He pointed behind himself, in the direction of the woodsy hill leading past the dirt road. "Oh, you live by Suffolk?" I asked. No, I'm not," he said. "What made you decide to come out here?" I said. "Why not?" I continued to try and uncomfortably fill the awkward silences that kept coming up. His responses were dry. He didn't contribute anything to what was barely a conversation. He just sat there not doing anything with half a smile on
This
his
dude
face,
looks creepy. He
looking
has a
either at
full
me
beard.
or in my general direction throughout.
He has a
I
mustache.
was creeped out.
Oh
My
my
heart
god.
was racing at this point. I'd go as far as saying that I was nervous for
Get
my
out of there.
life. We were surrounded by trees in all directions in the middle of the pond. I started to row a bit closer to land, but in a very low-key kind of way, trying to play it off as me just trying to find a better spot to find some fish. I was horrified when I saw he was following me. "What a great day, huh?" I felt a shake in my voice. I got close enough to the edge of the pond where I finally told the man, "I think I'm going to call it a day." I turned to see his reaction. He was still staring at me, but his
Oh, why are
smile
you
was gone
staring
now.
at this dude? Like,
"I can't let you leave," he
quit.
said.
No,
He lifted his flannel
it's
to
not
expose a
your.
handgun sticking out of his jeans pocket.
Oh, shoot.
As soon as I could process what I was looking at, I dove out of the boat for land, ran the whole half-mile uphill through the woods back to my house, and locked every door and window as soon as I made it home. I
What
pulled
you
down the
need to do
blinds
is
to
get
the
a new
dining room
house.
window, leaving it open just a crack for peeking outside undetected. It started to get dark out, and I left every light in the house off, still peeking out to the front yard, making sure I wasn't followed. The time came when I finally decided I wasn't followed. I realize now, like you, that not calling the police immediately was a huge mistake. I kept my bedroom windows open to let the room air out. My bedroom was on the second floor, so I wasn't worried about being watched through the window. About half an hour after shutting the light and falling under the covers, I heard the sound of leaves crunching from outside. I sat up to hear it more clearly. It was definitely something walking around out there. Normally I would assume it was a deer or a bear, but after what just happened, I was still in paranoia mode. I sat up as still as a statue, except for my shaking out of fear, waiting as the sounds of the steps stopped. "Hey buddy,
It's that
you up
creepy
there?
dude.
Are you trying to sleep?"
It's the creepy
"Sorry,
dude.
I didn't mean to wake you." I felt like 100 pounds just fell directly onto my chest. It was the same voice. I knew it right away. I didn't make a sound. I crept out of the room, quietly downstairs to the kitchen, and grabbed the phone, practically crawling on my way out to avoid being seen through the open blinds. I called 911 like I should have earlier, in the temporary safety of my bedroom. I made sure to whisper into the phone, as I was still hoping that he hadn't yet heard or spotted me. 20 minutes felt like an hour as I sat behind my bed, waiting
Dang.
for the police to arrive in constant fear
How long does
that
it
I would
take
hear
for
glass
police to
breaking from
get to your
downstairs,
house if you
or a
call
thud on the
911?
back door, or even just a
I
voice
always
again from
wonder
down
that.
below
How
my
how long does
window
it take?
outside.
Does it take like different
The police did a
for
thorough
like every
investigation
police
of the
department or
property in
something?
nearby woods, turning up nothing. They suggested I stay with a friend or a family member for a few days, and so I did. I never heard from or saw the man again, but I still moved a month later. I couldn't deal with the constant fear and paranoia of being watched through my windows. I feel much more comfortable fishing out by the bay now.
Yo, that was creepy. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was like a freaking like naked dude, but he was all bloody and he attacked the kid. True camping stories, alright.
So me and a couple of my buddies went camping last summer alongside the Willamette River. We actually had a decent hike into the deep end of the woods. We did some night fishing, listening to music, and basically drank to the point where everything was funny later in the night. I would guess we finally called it a night somewhere past 2 a.m. I shared a tent with one of my buds, while the other two shared another tent. We heard them laughing about something. At first we laughed at the sound of their laughing, but it soon got annoying and we yelled for them to shut up. One of them responded, "It isn't us."
Uh-oh.
I
Oh
sat up,
no.
startled at the response. I came to
No.
realize that it was the sound of
Only
only one
thing
person
I do
laughing,
not
and it
like
didn't sound like either
more
one of my
than
friends.
kids is
Even in my drunk
laughing.
state,
That's
I
so
realized
creepy.
how odd it was for somebody to be out this far in the woods so late at night. The
Nope.
laughing gradually got closer and louder to our campout. My friend shot up and looked at me with a worried look on his face. I heard my other friends scream over to us that they were getting freaked out. As the laughing got even closer, I could make it out very clearly to be the laugh of a male, probably in his 30s or 40s. He sounded like he was as drunk as us, messing around with friends, but we only heard his laugh, nobody else. There was something indescribably
Nope.
creepy about his laugh, too, as if it was missing something to it. You had to be there to understand what I mean. The laughing was now just at the edge of our campsite,
Nope.
but we couldn't hear any footsteps at all. Now that may not seem like a big deal. It was impossible to move through that without making noise. And finally, all of a sudden, The laughing stopped completely. We had no idea where whoever that was standing, as he hadn't made a single stepping sound. We sat there in silence
That's
looking
why
at
I
each
don't
other.
like go camping. Like,
My friend was
I
clearly
never go
freaking out,
camping.
but he was keeping it together the best he could.
Not anymore, at least.
Finally, something broke the silence. The sound of something rubbing against the cottony fabric of the tent. We saw the outline of a hand through the moonlight, pressing on the tent. We both screamed at the top of our lungs before getting out of the tent. We ran as fast as we could through the woods, our other friends following us. After about 5 minutes of running, we somehow found our car. I actually puked from running so much before taking the wheel. I don't condone drinking and driving, but I still believe we were just in this situation. By far the most horrific experience of my life. No idea who or what the hell that was, or what they wanted.
Alright, we're gonna do another one and then wrap the video up. So if you guys like these, comment down below, subscribe, and yeah. I already seen this one. Scary True Pool Horror Stories.
It was approaching the end of summer, and my friends and I wanted to do some cool, mischievous things before going back to school. So, we had the genius idea one night to sneak into a nearby community pool. It was actually only a couple blocks away. It's right smack in the middle of a residential area, so instead of sitting on a main road or something, it actually just sat around a bunch of houses on a quiet road. During a hot day, the little parking lot would be full and the spot would be bustling. But at 1 in the morning, the place was of course dead. There's obviously a big fence surrounding the whole front entrance, as well as a cage that gets closed up when the place closes. So our best way was to get in through the side. We snuck into the backyard of a neighboring house and hopped the fence over to the pool. It was as easy as that.
No, that's too dark.
4 of us took off our shirts and
I would
jumped
not
into
go
the
in
pool,
there.
which in retrospect wasn't smart, since any of the neighbors could have heard the splashes and just called the police. But we were dumb high schoolers. It was very, very dark within that whole enclosing.
Yeah.
This pool had no lights, which is why it closed at sunset. James, Courtney, and Alyssa were on the other side of the pool, as I was just kind of doing my own thing at first, swimming around and getting my face wet. I saw Alyssa get out of the pool shortly after and run away.
Alyssa.
I swam over to see what was going on. She was just going to the water fountain, though. The 3 of us just bopped around in the water for a bit, and eventually we heard Alyssa jump back into the pool from the other side. It was too dark to see much more than her black hair covering her face.
Oh my god.
But just then, we heard Alyssa playfully call something to us as she was walking back to the pool.
Like I said, that is not
The 3
Alyssa.
of us in the pool looked at each other.
Yo, this person looks creepy. She has like long eyes, and then she has green like skin, and then she has like her long hair just on the pool like this.
So who was that on the other side?
Stretched out.
Alyssa got in, but the 3 of us were distracted, looking at the head bobbing around the water across the pool.
Dang.
James said across the
I'm
pool,
just kidding.
"Who is that?" Not even 2 seconds later, the head went underwater and disappeared from view. We took this time to whisper to each other, mostly things like, what should we do? What if that's security? And should we run? Suddenly I felt something grab my leg with force and tried pulling me down into the water. I kicked, splashed, and yelled for help. James came over to pull me out of the pool.
Come on, James.
While the girls were already running for it, screaming. It wasn't until I got to the stairs of the pool that the grip on my leg was released and I was free. We hopped the same fence we climbed over to get in and ran all the way back to Alyssa's house. I was convinced that whoever that was a security guard.
Dang, Alyssa's house looks
until
nice.
they literally tried to pull me under the water. We don't know what to think. There are a few possibilities. Maybe it was just another kid messing with us. Maybe it was a security guard who went way too far.
That was not a kid or a security guard.
Most likely,
I don't know anyone that has green skin. Oh, and she just smiled like, oh, she just grinned. It was so creepy. Alright, well, if you guys like these videos, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button. Special thanks to Llama Arts in Oompaville for making these videos happen. Llama Arts makes these YouTube videos and Oompaville reacts to them, and I got all my inspiration for them. So if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be able to make these YouTube videos. But comment down below, subscribe, hit that like button, share this video, and we'll see you guys next time.